and Assalamualaikum. We are from KAC1102C and we are here today to present on our group work assignment. For this assignment, we have chosen Kesas dan Berhad for our study, and we have also conducted an interview with their management team to learn and analyze their management style. Through this assignment, we have been able to correlate what we have learned and how an actual organization is run. So, the functions of management that we are going to discuss today is planning, decision making, organizing, leading, controlling, and also communication.
Kesas dan Berhad is located in Subang Jaya, Selangor. It is first incorporated in 30th September 1993. Its organization runs in few principles that it established, which is construction, establishment, operation, maintenance, as well as management of toll highway. Kesas dan Berhad is invested by two big companies, which is Gamuda as well as PKNS. PKNS stands for Perbadanan Kemajuan Negeri Selangor. Both companies invested 70% as well as 30% respectively. This highway is as long as 34.5 kilometers, which is lit by 6 lanes in Lebuh Raya Shah Alam. And this highway is connecting few urban area cities, which is Klang Valley, Kuala Lumpur, Cheras, Putrajaya, Subang Jaya, Shah Alam, Klang, as well as the West Port. It also known as Iffah, which is the 5th expressway that is built in Malaysia.
In management side, besides having shareholders and it is run by board of director, the ESCO would run through the company who oversees everything. With their motto, which is toward excellence in quality expressway service, they also strive and work together to achieve the goals and being one of the top expressway highway in Malaysia, with the lead of the powerful COO as the highest position. Next, the main objective and guidance that the Kesas dan Berhad use is LSA, which is leading steadfastly and adopt. In terms of that, the level of management which is with the highest level is top manager. Top manager is a small group of executive who manage the overall organization in Kesas dan Berhad. And also to achieve the goal that they focus on 4 resources, which is physical, financial, and human and information. Next, the middle manager is a large group that implement the strategy developed by the top level management. In Kesas, human resource needs to delegate the task and make decision to make sure that the service that the company gives to people are fully satisfied. Last but not least, the lower manager. The lower manager is large group that responsible to empowerment, the task that delegates by the top and middle management. They also supervise activities of operating. For example, Kesas dan Berhad, the lower level management perform variety of tasks as planned in the organization, and also the service operator participates. Kesas managers seeks their subordinates' ideas in any process so that the whole team form its own conclusion collectively through dialogue and collaboration. The management skill that they use is technical, human, and conceptual. The technical is, for example, in Kesas dan Berhad, toll tellers know how to operate toll machine in toll booth. For human skills, it include the ability to motivate, understand, lead, and communicate with a manager needs throughout his or her work. Last is conceptual skill. This skill gives the top manager the ability to coordinate and integrate the organization's interests and activity.
The first management function that we are going to discuss is planning. Planning is the process of setting goals and course of actions, developing rules and guidelines, and also forecasting future outcomes. Why is it important for an organization to have planning? It is because it gives a guideline to achieve their objective. Managers at all levels engage in planning as objective and goals have to be set up according to the day-to-day activities as well as the broader long-term initiative. Every organization has its own vision, mission and objective. So for Kesas Berhad, its vision is towards excellence in quality expressway service. For mission, we are committed towards providing quality expressway service that meets the needs and expectations of our customers and continually improve the effectiveness of the quality management system. The objective of the Kesas Berhad is achieving a safe and healthy work environment while preventing environmental pollution, accidents, and occupational illnesses as far as reasonably practicable. To achieve this objective, they are committed to first, learn and instill EHS knowledge in employees to create awareness and for a continual improvement of EHSMS. Second, steadfastly comply with all applicable EHS legal issues and other requirements. Third, adopt best practices to prevent injury, ill health amongst employees and safeguard the environment. EHS is environmental, health and safety. Now, I'm going to move to organizational plan. In organizational plan, there are two types of plan, which are standing plan and single-use plan. Standing plan is a plan that is ongoing and provides guidance for repeatedly performed actions in an organization. In other words, standing plan is repetitive actions for a company to overcome their circumstances. Single-use plan is used to meet the needs of a particular or unique situation. So, in standing plan, there consists of policy, procedure, and rules. In Kesas Berhad, its policy is prevent environmental pollution, accidents, and occupational illnesses as far as reasonably practicable. For procedure, petrol car will be dispatched using the sets of procedure to take care of things or in any emergencies. Last is rules. The example of rules is all employees need and must comply with the contract that they sign and with the regulation that is set by the company. Single-use plan consists of program, project, and budget. Example for program that Kesas practice is variable message sign of amber-colored LEDs provide the operator the means of informing the expressway users of any traffic advice or message which will help the user to avoid any inconvenience or incidents. While for project, widening highway and opening new lanes for road users. For budget are plans that commit resources, activities, projects or programs so that everything is efficiently used. That's all for planning.
The next management function that we're going to talk about is decision making. Decision making is a process through which managers identify and resolve problems as well as capitalize all the opportunities that they can face. Every company has their own decision making process, and Kesas has their own way. There are two types of decision making, which is program and non-program. Program is a structured decision process where handled by routine approach like regulations, procedures, and policies. It is used when facing repetitive circumstances, and this type of decision making does not concern the higher manager. For example, maintenance of along the roadside. We all know there's grass and trees everywhere. So when they get overgrown, it will disrupt the road users' visibility. And with the incompetence of the constructor who is supposed to cut the grass, this will cause a dissatisfaction towards the road users. So with a routine with the policies that they construct by their contracts, they should be reviewed. Kesas will review and set the regulations straight, or else they will terminate the contracts so that they can choose a better contractors to handle the situation. Second, non-program. It comes dealing with unique, unusual circumstances and emergencies. There are no routine procedures to overcome this problem. For example, in Kesas, they have faces massive fire in one of the rest and relaxation area, and this causes them tons of money loss, as well as no revenue in the company. Hence, it takes the higher level management to discuss along with the operators to overcome this problem, where they close down all the rest and relaxation area and build a new one which more modernized and can help ease the road users while driving the highway. In decision making, there are three factors that Kesas has took account in prior of decision making. One of them is certainty. Certainty comes when decision maker knows exactly what is the problem they are facing and knows what to predict in the outcome that they have made or discussed. For example, Kesas Berhad has faced many heavy congestion traffic, and many road users has complained about it. Hence, they have come together and discussed and come up with few plans, which is making the road bigger and as well as contraflow. But the higher management will oversee the cost and resources to make them so that they don't lose costs, as well as provide better services for the road users. Second, uncertainty. Uncertainty is a condition which there are no full knowledge of the problems and the alternative outcomes. To solve the congestion traffic just now, although they have a good alternative to fix the problem, but it also had changed the faces of the traffic, and many road users will feel, half of them will feel happy about those alternatives, while half of them will be cursing towards the alternative as it will disturb them. Third, risk. Risk is a future conditions that are not always known in advance. So it's a risk that they're taking by the company on making future decisions. Most of the risk that Kesas has facing is in terms of financials. This is due to the hidden costs that are hardly allocated within the company. Budgets and investments are at stake due to chances of low revenues. For example, when you change something or when you make an alternative to make a better decision, different opinions on people will cause a different outcomes. Some will like your decision and some wouldn't. And people who would not like your decision will find other alternative to go to the destination without using your road, and this will cause them to not go to your toll plaza and pay what they're supposed to pay. And this will cause your company reduce in income, and you'll be, worst case scenario be in terms of bankruptcy, as there's no income in. There are 7 steps in decision making process. 1 is diagnosing problem and identifying opportunities. Kesas receive complaints after complaints on the problems that they are facing, which is congestion in the traffic road, especially at the peak hours. Second, identifying objective. Kesas' objective in fixing this problem is to improve the level of service and image of the company by providing better services. Not only that, they are also aiming at increasing of the revenue. Third, generating alternative. Kesas have take alternative that ease the congestion of traffic, which is contraflow, construct additional lanes, and widening those lanes, and even enforcement of law in compliance with the traffic laws. Fourth, evaluating all the alternative. Kesas have used SWOT analysis, which is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, is to assess all these alternatives. Not only that, the company's financial capacity is taken to account in making assessing of all these alternatives, so that when they plan on something, they will have a financial aid towards making it into a reality. Fifth, reaching decisions. For example, the decision maker of Kesas, which involve in higher level of management, will take financial status of the company into account with the prior making decision in terms of long-term solution as well as short-term solutions. This is also carefully foreseen due to ROI, which is return of investment, as well as increasement of company's revenue. 6. Choosing implementations and strategies. There are 2 ways in these steps, which is sensitivity and resources. Sensitivity: once the alternatives are implemented, the road users will be at ease due to less congestion. The company will receive complement and increase of revenue. The staff will feel dissatisfied due to more working hours due to more lanes. And indirectly, it also in general view, it also increased the economic labor workforce, as it increased due to high demand in employment, resulting high productivity and lower labor turnover. In terms of resources, the shareholder will keep an eye due to their investments that they invested, so that they could gain while they investing into a company. Last but not least, monitoring and evaluating feedbacks. Kesas will measure this complaint when they first started until the end product, and control the feedback that they receive, and put any necessary actions if it's needed towards the alternative that they took. Group decision making technique. In Kesas, they use all 3 group decision making techniques, which is first, brainstorming, where, for example, when Kesas is under a financial crisis or cash flow problems, the management would discuss and brainstorm ideas in a room to find an alternative way to overcome this problem. But we have to remember, brainstorming is just a way for us to encourage group members to generate as many ideas to overcome these problems without actually evaluating all these alternatives. Second, nominal group thinking, or we call NGT. It is an individual member will list their ideas on the specific problems and present their ideas in front. After all the group members present their alternative solution towards the problem, they will go one by one and clarify and evaluate all these ideas. So in Kesas, they use the same method as they call external supervision to see all the problems that they face and come up with a good idea between them, between the high management as well as the consultant outside. In terms, this is mostly related to the long-term problem that they are facing. For example, like, how does the public feel upon the toll charges that they charge upon the road users? Third, Delphi techniques. Delphi techniques is basically about experts making predictions and forecasts about future events without meeting them face to face. For example, questionnaire, survey. Kesas use this technique commonly in the rest and relaxation area, where they give out questionnaires and surveys to know how the service that they provided is the road users and convenient to the road users. So with this, the patrol on duty would sometimes ask the users feedback on the service area, or sometimes questionnaire is given out to all the users to fill up for future improvement.
Now, we are discussing about organizing. What is organizing? Organizing is defined as the process of determining the tasks to be done, who will do them, and how the tasks will be managed and coordinated. Why is it important for managers to organize the activities they want to perform? Firstly, they can divide the work according to the nature and the similarity of tasks. Second, they can pool the resources. Next, increase the efforts which lead to efficiency. And lastly, they can build continuity and synergy. In organizing, we will discuss about span of control, types of departmentalization, and the chain of command. For span of control is a number of subordinates who report directly to a given manager of supervision. From the interview and the data we collect from Kesas has a wide span of control. From the organization chart, you can see that Finance and Corporate Division Manager has a span of control of 5. Which are Human Resource and Administration Department, Finance and Treasury Department, Information Technology Department, Integrated Management System Section, and Commercial and Ancillary Facilities Section. That's why the Finance and Corporate Division Manager has a span of control of 5 because he has 5 subordinates under him. Efforts are being made to increase the span of control in order to save time in decision making. A wide span of control leads to a flatter organizational structure, which results in lower costs. How to increase, the factors for Kesas to increase the span of control is determined by looking at the ability of the manager to train the employees. A lot of training and exercise for employees also affect the span of control. Why? It is because if they are trained well, they need less supervision from upper manager. The similarity of employee tasks and the complexity of those tasks are also one of the factors. All of these factors are the reason for Kesas widen their span of control. Now, we are moving to types of departmentalization. There are various types of departmentalization, but in Kesas Penerabahan, they are using functional structure. So, what is functional structure? Functional structure is a structure which tasks and jobs are grouped according to their functions within the organization. There are two types of structure, which are tall structure and flat structure. In Kesas Penerabahan, you can see that the structure is a tall structure. From the organizational structure, we can see that the highest level manager is board of directors, followed by executive committee of directors, followed by chief operating officer, COO, and then they are divided into two functions, which are engineering and operation division and finance and corporate division. Why they are using a functional structure? They are using functional structure so that they are more efficient and easier for supervision. For example, finance and corporate division manager and subordinates coordinate all tasks related to their function. They are grouped into 5 functions, which are human resource and administration, finance and treasury, information technology, integrated management, and commercial and ancillary facilities. Overall, this shows that the manager doing tasks and group based to function they perform within the organization. Lastly is chain of command. What is chain of command? Chain of command is defined as the separate lines of authority or power among all positions in an organization. It has 2 components, which are unity command and scalar relationship. A big company like Kesas Penerabahan is using a scalar relationship. A scalar relationship suggests that there must be a clear and unbroken line of authority that extends from the lowest to the highest position in the organization. For example, that we can see in Kesas Penerabahan, the senior manager of engineering and maintenance department report to the deputy general manager, and then deputy general manager have to report to COO. COO report to executive committee of directors, and then he reports to the board of directors. So we can see a clear line in this organization where they have to report to their upper level manager. So Kesas Penerabahan is using a scalar relationship. That's all for organizing.
Now we are going to talk about leading. In Kesas Penerabahan, they use behavior theory based on the path goal theory. It performs 4 primary types of behavior. First one is directive. In Kesas Penerabahan, the manager indicate that what performance goal exists and precisely told the subordinates what must be done to achieve the goals of the organization. Second one is supportive. Through this behavior, the leader of Kesas Penerabahan shows sensitivity to the personal needs of followers. Third one is achievement behavior. The manager of Kesas Penerabahan give the delegation towards the subordinates and hoping that they can do their work efficiently and achieve the organization's goal. The last one is participative behavior. The manager of Kesas Sdn Bhd seeks their subordinates' idea in any process so that the whole team form its own conclusions collectively through dialogue and collaboration. That's all. Thank you.
The next management function that we are going to discuss today is controlling. Controlling is the process to assure that actual activities conform to planned activities. It could also be defined as the process of monitoring performance and taking action to ensure desired results. So in Kesas Sdn Bhd, they use few types of control systems in order to make sure that their organization could be run smoothly and also that their goals could be achieved. The types of control system that they use are feed-forward control, steering control, and also feedback control. Feed-forward control focuses on preventing anticipated problems. This is a way of risk reduction in most organizations. As for Kesas Sdn Bhd, they have their own structured SOP, or also known as Standard Operating Procedure, that touches on all areas and is obliged to every member of the organization. Every worker's task must be completed according to the SOP. If there are any incidents that happen due to the violation of SOP, the management will carry out an investigation on the case. If the worker is found guilty for not following the SOP, actions like having to show a show cause letter will be taken. Okay. The next type of control system that they also use is the concurrent control, or we also call it as steering control. This type of control involves identifying and preventing problems as in an organization as they occur. It means that these systems are monitored in real time. Example of concurrent control in Kesas Sdn Bhd is the traffic control system. The traffic control center at the Kesas Sdn Bhd is meant for 24 hours a day by trained traffic controllers to monitor traffic situation on the highway through the CCTVs, and they also receive information from road users through the emergency telephone or Kesas hotline. And they also deliver messages to road users using the variable message sign. These traffic controllers are also trained to spot the cause of traffic congestion, such as if there is a vehicle breakdown or accident, so that immediate action could be taken to ensure the smooth flow of traffic. When an incident or accident happens, the patrol team along with the maintenance team will rush to the location to assist. Any injuries will be given early emergency treatment and sent to the hospital, whereas any damages on the car and the road will be repaired immediately to avoid traffic congestion and to return back the highway condition back to normal. The patrol team are also trained to give early emergency help. In cases of any other kind of emergencies, an emergency response team with the cooperation of local authority will work hand in hand to resolve the problem. The emergency response team are made of very competent persons, and they are also usually among the higher ups and the managers. So in terms of controlling the work quality of workers, the workers are supervised by managers and are checked whether they are following the SOP or not. There are also tasks that requires the workers to frequently report their progress to their supervisor, so that this could help the supervisor or manager to oversee if the task is being done correctly or otherwise. So the last type of control system that Kesas Sdn Bhd also use is the post-action control, or also known as feedback control. This type of control takes place after an action happened. It is usually done to provide evidence of planning effectiveness and to provide motivational information for the employees. For an example, when complaints are received, it could be received either through phone calls, emails, or even directly at the customer service counter. The Kesas Sdn Bhd employee will give out forms for the customers to fill it, and to express down all their complaints, and an investigation will be carried out on before reporting back to the customer on the case complaint. Immediate action will also be taken to resolve the problem. Also, sometimes Kesas Sendirian Berhad also would carry out surveys at their R&R to gather information on the satisfactory levels of customers regarding their service. So in conclusion, control systems are essential for an organization development and success. This is because with good control system, it could assist with the management process, deal with changes and uncertainty, also deal with complexity and human limitations, and the most important thing is it could help delegation and decentralization to run smoothly. An efficient control process could also minimize costs, and predicted problems may also be avoided.
Now, we are going to proceed with communication. What is actually meant by communication? Communication is actually the transmission of information and meaning from a sender to a receiver. Usually in a company, managers will communicate with their subordinates, their peers, or supervisors, their public users, or even clients to interact with them. Without we realizing what kind of communication that we've been using, it's actually interpersonal communication. Well, not all of us know what is an interpersonal communication, right? So I'm just going to explain a bit to you. Interpersonal communication simply means the exchange of information between two or more people. And there are actually more types of it. In this organization that we've been studying, which is Kesas Sendirian Berhad, there are 4 types that we've discovered, which is the first one, verbal communication. Verbal communication is the communication, the way you interact, that involves speech. You can directly talk to them. You can hear, you can listen to what they are saying. That is verbal, by using speech. In Kesas Sendirian Berhad, the manager stated that one of the ways they are implying verbal communication that can be seen from what they do is the subordinates can directly ask the superiors or person in charge if they do not understand anything, so they can clarify whether what they are doing is right or wrong. So you can see that it happens around the world, okay? It happens around you, and it's very obvious. And the second one is non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication, how do I say this? Non-verbal communication is actually includes your facial expressions, your gestures, your body movement, and the timing, and so many more. But without involving speech, without having to say anything. I'll give you a sample example. When you see someone is feeling sad, what are you gonna do? Of course, you're gonna come there and you're just gonna pat his or her shoulder. And sometimes you don't even have to say anything, and that will make the person feel better about themselves. That's what happens, okay? It's very simple as that. That is non-verbal communication. And the third one is written communication. Well, written communication is divided into 2, which is formal and also informal. It's very easy, it's very simple to understand. Formal is usually something that when you've written on it, you cannot deny its existence. For example, official memorandums, letterheads, and stuff like that. And well, as for the informal, it's like something that you don't really can count on it when you deal on something. And in Kesas Sendirian Berhad, the manager told us that when the customer itself don't feel comfortable or they want to give a complaint, they can directly go to the customer service center and they can fill up a form stating their feeling of inconvenience. But that's one of the examples. And last but not least that we've discovered is visual communication. Visual communication, as you can listen, as you know from the word itself, visual. Visual is something that you can look upon it or read upon it. For example, in the Kesas and Berhad, they distributed informative pamphlets, and sometimes they are also in the newspaper to make people aware of their existence. And one of other examples that I can see from visual communication is when during festive season, they distributed kurma, for example, for the Hari Raya, and also they distributed oranges during the Chinese New Year. So people are encouraged to use their service. It's very brilliant of them, right? Okay. Now, that one that I explained before is actually something that is very, very, how do I say this? Is very, very common between us. But to be more specific, in an organization, they also have their own types of communication. The first one is formal, and the second one is informal. Now, before moving on to the informal, I would like to explain a bit about the formal one. In the formal one, they are divided into two sections, which is the first one, the vertical communication, and the second one is horizontal. So as for vertical, it's basically the communication that happens upwards and downwards. The upwards is usually from those at not lower places, those at lower levels, sending up the messages to the superiors. Downward is vice versa, which is from the superiors to those at lower position. Usually the examples I can give you is like when the manager is holding a meeting. So that is one of the examples for downward communication. And we also have the horizontal communication. Usually an effective organization will use this horizontal communication as it increases the coordination, collaboration and cooperation, because this happens within and between the departments, right? Well, informal communication, let's see. Well, actually informal communication just means something, the communication that is not official. Like if you hear some information that spreads around, wanders around, and you don't even know if it's true or not, because it actually happens like in a lot of channels, and that's why we call it as a grapevine. Now, according to the interview that we've conducted with the managers of human resources, which is Che Selimen, he stated that one of the types of informal communication that occurs within his company is the single strand, the possibilities, the cluster, and also the gossiping type. But he does said that it is something that out of reach. We cannot shut someone's mouth as long as it doesn't affect the company's name, then it's okay. So that is all for communication. Thank you.
The next